Checkity 1, 2. Oh my. Cool mashup. The constellations. Yeah, I like that. Is that the stream health or is that just a yellow line?
That's a stream health.
Seems like it should be green.
Yeah, you would think, but
You would think that would be optimal. Would be optimal. It says
Real live why.
actually not much light either. Should we see if we can cross some feedback?
Don't do that. That's
Cross some
Don't do that. Sadist. I might have to make a G&T before we start.
No, I'm good. What do you think of that gym? Pretty good. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I still like it. That's a thing. It's sad. You know, just run some water. I should find a different place to sit this so it doesn't go clunk every single time. Yeah, I can put it on the floor. I won't kick it over. That will never happen. A few people have made it.
Greetings, everyone.
Boy, these are gonna be riding up all night. They got that camera angled down.
Yeah, watch that camera angle. The album is The Temples, Sun Structures. It's a modern band, but it's very throwback, so the vibe is understandable. You get like a towel to lay across your lap or something.
Grab that blanket. Getting chilled. A little blanket across my lap.
All right.
At least this knee doesn't look quite as bad as it did before. When just that bare patch right there.
Oh,
From when I had my surgery.
was it like purple and stuff too? for a
No,
while, or-
no, actually, it looked fine. It's got two little dots right here, but well, you know, it looked bad because of the iodine. It was, you know, they cleaned it with. Other than that, it just looked weird because I had this bald patch in the middle of my leg.
All right. Let's do this. Let's get some volume checks going here. All right, can you guys hear us okay? We need a volume check.
Checkity check check. Too loud, too not loud. I can always adjust the gain on the speaker here just in case. It's easier to crank it up than bring it down.
Yeah, for sure. All right, everything is good. That's what we're hearing. Sounds like people on a couch. All right, excellent.
Wow.
That's what we're going for.
That's exactly what we're going for.
Yeah. Okay, well, welcome everybody. We're going to kind of, I don't know, piece this thing together as we go, I guess. It is, what, episode
5.
Episode 5? Hang on.
Episode 5, Struggle, I believe.
Yeah. Tonight's where we talk about the struggle a little bit.
Struggle.
And we're very close to the end of this season of Unbound, so we're going to be talking a lot about what you guys need to do for the finale episode.
Yep.
What kind of submissions we'd like to get from you. And then we're going to talk tonight, I think, at some length about kind of what we're going to be doing, the future of this podcast.
Moving forward.
What we're going to do moving forward. I don't know, we may get into some discussions too about things that are going on with our channels, as well as some ideas that we've been kicking around for this year's marathon as well, that I think will, I don't know, I think be a significant and sort of cool upgrade from what we've done the last couple of years. That's what we're hoping anyway.
So.
Okay? So, pretty low-key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Suppose we could start it out.
Yeah? The huge?
The huge.
Okay.
The huge.
The huge. All right.
All right, give me a little pause.
All right.
Be quiet in here, actually.
It is surprisingly quiet. Well, that thing's off now.
Oh, that's
that
true.
helps.
All right,
Yeah.
start her up.
All right. Cold open, right?
Open.
Okay. Welcome to Character Crusade Unbound Podcast, Season 4, Episode 5. I'm Stu,
And I'm Joe.
and Matt is not with us tonight, but we will soldier on.
We will do our best.
Oh.
All right, let's get into it.
All right, cool. So tonight's topic is that it's that moment where we talk about the struggle in our stories, the struggle that our characters have, and the reasons that we set obstacles before them, other than just the things that the game presents. And I think I was reflecting on this a little bit, Joe, and thinking to myself, why is it that we do that? Well, obviously it makes a richer story, But the game mechanic that Skyrim has going on that causes us to do that is the fact that we can literally heal from all wounds with the drinking of a potion.
Oh yeah.
Right? Which has a tendency. It's a required game mechanic in many ways, right?
Yep.
Unless you're playing Dead is Dead, permadeath kind of a playthrough.
Right.
But it is kind of a necessity, right? But what it has the overall effect of doing is making encounters inconsequential in some ways.
Oh, they can be.
So we end up having to sort of make them consequential on our own through role play or different mods, gameplay choices, stuff like that. Right. So this is kind of how I was approaching it this time around. I was thinking about it in those terms. I mean, last time in Season 3, Episode 5, we talked, I think, quite a bit about different mods and things like that you could put in place to kind of, create a little bit of struggle or to sort of simulate what that might be like. We talked a little bit about some role play ideas. I don't think this season will be much of a departure from that, but I just was thinking about how the game tends to drive us towards having to manufacture our own stuff. And that's the whole reason why we're having this conversation at all, why this is actually a good conversation to have in an Unbound season, because so much of our role play is built around how to make our character look the way we want, or have the background that we want them to have, or use the tools that we want them to have. But we don't think often enough necessarily about how to present challenge, other than maybe, installing a mod that adds more dungeons.
Right.
Well, that's not better challenge, that's just
more
numerous challenge.
Right.
Yeah, it's quantity over quality, I guess.
Yeah.
So we're talking about here is this idea of quality struggle, the kind of struggle that causes a character to transform. So that's kind of what we talk about, what we're thinking of when we think of the struggle. And quite often it is the struggle that the character's having that moves us towards that next higher level or higher set of change that helps us transition between acts in our story or between phases in our character's life or whatever it is. Right. So one of the things that I thought about was it might be interesting to talk a little bit about some of the adversity that we've put in place for characters of our own as a way of trying to really drive this idea of struggle. And I'm assuming that some of this is pretty fresh in your mind, having just developed a new character. And
yeah, I mean, yeah, it's always kind of the struggle of a new character is, finding that identity and how to work with that. And yeah, we've come up with several different scenarios that I could take, and which one plays out or which one sounds the best in the end. You really, at the early stages especially, it's kind of a brainstorm where you dump all of these ideas on the table and kind of see which ones pair together best.
Right.
So,
well, it's true. Like one of the things I think about is I just kind of was going through a mental inventory as you were talking of some of the struggles that my characters have and how I depict those. I think of Marl as an example. Early on in his, I guess, story, it was a number of different things. One was that he had been sort of excommunicated from House Telvanni, which had him in a situation where he was kind of on the ropes in a lot of different ways. His livelihood was threatened. He was in a position where he was trying to look for any sort of job that would allow him to support himself.
Right.
The validity of his research was in question. And he had essentially been kicked out of the home that he had been accustomed to or familiar with for, probably 300 plus years.
Right.
right? So that was kind of his struggle early on.
Right.
And then that struggle evolved until later on what we saw was a struggle with him trying to sort of fulfill his destiny, trying to figure out his path forward in terms of power. Now he was fine financially, but he was trying to further his research. He was trying to reach out to others to try to communicate to them the threat he knew was coming. And unfortunately, he was in a position where a lot of those people who knew him in the previous years wouldn't take him seriously now.
Right.
Right? And so that was something where one of the best ways I could think of to portray that was through interaction with other characters in the story, where he was constantly at odds with them or coming into conflict with them as they got tired of his manipulation.
Right. So it seems like there's almost kind of a theme or a template emerging, because with my own characters as well. We could take Sanok for example. It's like your immediate, when you first initialize the character, your struggles up front are almost kind of that personal level. If you want to do the whole circles analogy, they start out with the personal in the here and the now. So Sanok struggled with his environment. All of a sudden, there he was.
Right.
And then later on, okay, I know where I'm at. Now we move on into a larger struggle, if you will. And Pelinar's the same way. He's dealing with the now, here and now, currently of, dealing with how to accept or acknowledge this vampirism that came upon him. Mm-hmm. So how do you portray that? With him, it's the struggle of how he deals with it and what it's doing to him. Mm-hmm. And does he realize what it's doing? It's kind of that leeching poison,
right?
That's slowly taking his sanity. Mm-hmm. Yet he feels things are becoming more clear.
Right.
So, it seems like it starts at that really close level of, like I say, the here and the now, and then it expands more to a broader societal category, or an interpersonal, I guess would be the next step, then the societal, and their impact on it. And, so you go from, I'm struggling with being kicked out of my house to I'm struggling to get jarls and kings to listen to me.
Right. Yeah.
And everything in between.
Uh-huh.
So there's a progression, I think, that's just kind of natural.
Yeah, it's a progression, as well as I feel like if your character is really well rounded in that psychological sense,
right,
that you will always have some element of conflict inside of each of those circles.
Oh, sure.
Those conflicts will evolve or change, but there'll always be some element. So you get past one of your personal demons only to unveil a new one,
right,
or only to be confronted by the consequences of having beat whatever that inner demon was,
right,
or you mend fences with your parents only to discover that now your siblings resent you, or things
right,
like that, right? It's like I like your idea of it being an evolution, but it's an evolution inside each one of those circles. And I think, I don't know if you guys ever noticed this, but it's a glaring thing for me, obviously, is that the game, by its very nature, the way that it's constructed, it wants you to grow in power. It wants you to get to the point where you feel that power. Mm-hmm. The problem is that as you do that, things become increasingly easy.
Yeah.
They become increasingly easy. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that happens in Skyrim is you can sort of plateau, right? And a lot of times that'll happen for me around level 30 or 40. I'll get to the point where I've really focused in on that character concept, and by level 30 or 40, I'm feeling, especially if I'm playing a stealth-focused character, I'll feel eminently powerful. There may be some times when I get caught out, and I'll get trashed really bad. But for the most part, I can dominate my enemies. And it's not helped by the fact that I know every freaking square inch of the map. I know where the enemies are going to be.
Right.
I know what kind of enemies they're going to be there. Stuff like that. And so I think what we're always thinking about are ways that we can enhance the struggle, I guess. The ways that we can fight our own knowledge of the game. And it seems to me that it ends up being a combination of both things going on in our own head from role play or narrative perspective, and enhancing those things with things that increase the game difficulty, or mods that add mechanics that throw us off kilter, or do some things, make some changes to the game that challenge our history with the game in some ways, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I'm always looking for things like that, and I feel like, for me anyway, the secret has always been having a well-rounded approach, like you're saying, having conflicts all around the circle of character conflicts, but then also having a lot of, complementary things that are going on in terms of mods or enhanced difficulty or things like that. So.
Right.
Okay. So, anything else to add to that, Joe? Anything that's burning for you?
No,
on the struggle?
I think, that's pretty much it. Any more said would just be reiterating that point. So,
and if you want to dig a bit more into this idea of how to use mods and game mechanics, we have a rather lengthy discussion of it. I think it's either at the end of season 1 or the beginning of season 2 of the Character Crusade podcast. It's still, it's a couple of years old, the episode, but it's still really relevant. It's called OP equals BS.
Oh yeah, that one.
And we talk a lot about this argument that characters are overpowered, or that mods are overpowered, and we spend a lot of time expressing rather strident opinions, I guess, about this concept of overpowered. But there's a lot of discussion in there about mods and stuff that kind of marry up nicely, I think, with this topic.
Yeah, that's a very good point, and definitely worth reviewing.
Yeah.
That is re-listening to it.
For sure. I want to say it was like episode 13, maybe.
It was early on, yeah.
Yeah, so check that out. It's called OP equals BS. I think that's a good one to check out.
I agree. Let's see, what else? I'm just trying to look through the chat here. Our chat screen is smaller than it was last time because technology.
Yeah, couldn't get it to work with the TV this time, so...
Not sure why.
But if you would like to
interesting around there.
Ask us some questions, or you've got some topics that you think are worthy of comment, you can go ahead and post them in the chat at any time now. Please preface that with question in all caps so our old and tired eyes can see that stuff. We definitely appreciate that.
Yes, it does make it easier.
Yeah, it does.
Especially when they come in such a flurry.
Yeah, and while you guys are thinking about your questions, I think there's a couple other things that we can talk about. Let's talk a little bit about what is going to happen in the finale of Unbound. This would be...
Hold on. Stop. I have lots of things to add, apparently.
Is that the stream?
No.
Or is that...
I was trying to get off of this menu item. I was going to look something up. Okay. Sorry. Didn't mean to derail.
So we got the finale coming up in a couple of weeks, and we're really interested in finishing this season with a strong finale. And so what we would like to do is get input from you guys on how things went with this challenge. I mean, it was kind of a big, gnarly experiment. So we want to get feedback from you. And what we'd like you to do is we would like you to submit a form, a homework form. We've got it up there already. But we're inviting you to send us a character update. Tell us who your character is. It's going to be, please make it brief, but briefly who your character is, how you came up with the concept, and then talk a little bit about how you incorporated the whole concept of sacred metal into your gameplay. Tell us what worked and what didn't, what challenges you faced and how you overcame them, what mods you decided to use, kind of generally what your approach was to the challenge, and then combine that with a character update that tells us a little bit about who your character was and how you went about the role play and all that kind of stuff. We're interested in that experience. And in the finale, in 2 weeks, we will read those and we'll respond to them. We'll have some great discussion about it, and we'll finish the season strong. Our hope is that you are able to experience some things in the game through this kind of unusual challenge that would be things that you hadn't experienced before. That was really the goal with it. And when I've done many experiments with this game in the past, and sometimes some of the best experiments I've done, the ones I've learned the most from, are the ones that were driven by crazy game mechanics. So this is one of those that we're hoping you got something out of it. So, send us those submissions. We will go ahead and post in Discord in the Season 4 discussion what the parameters are for that submission, and then I will double check to make sure the form is ready to go. I don't think I put a character limit on there. I'm not sure, but
yeah, I don't remember.
I'll go ahead and check that, and then we'll confirm that that's all ready to go. But that's what we'd like to get from y'all, if you wouldn't mind. Character update followed with a synopsis of how the challenge went for you, how you approached it, some techniques you used that can include mods or whatever it was that you decided to do to approach that. Anything else you would add there, Joe? You got your notes over there.
I do, but they're so far away.
I know. The story of my life.
So I was a little bit distracted. So we got the character summary, reactions, what went well, what didn't.
Yep. Got it covered.
Any surprises, good or bad?
Yeah.
And what anything come up unexpectedly that was a good thing or not a good thing? Maybe the biggest challenges with this particular season, or biggest non-challenges. And I guess what I mean by that is, what did you think was going to be a challenge but turned out not to be?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. I'm curious about that one specifically. Just because at the launch of the season, there was some angst about how difficult this might be to manage. I'm wondering if it was truly that difficult or if it turned out okay.
Right.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to kind of backtrack, and this is what I was trying to look up, but you are spot on. CC 013, episode 13, OP equals BS. You can go to charactercrusade.com and just type it in the search OP, and it'll show up right at the top. So that's a really good one. Forgot about that.
I like that one. Yeah, that's back when we first started the podcast, and
I was really deliberate. Wow.
There was a lot of stuff that we hadn't talked about yet.
No, a lot of stuff.
Now we feel like we've talked about everything having to do with Skyrim. And that is probably a good segue for us to talk about what is the future of all this. We've been talking about it, the three of us, at length. And we have decided that Season 4 is going to be the last season of the Unbound podcast.
Yep.
And I think that the reason for that is that we just feel like we've tapped into this as much as we can. We have had 4 seasons, basically a whole year now
4 seasons
of Unbound.
Total 6 episodes per season. So,
Yeah.
And there's 24 episodes right there.
Exactly. Which has been plenty of time to try a lot of different challenges and to try to get that train out of the station, right?
Right.
That's what we've been trying to do is I think, if you look at Character Crusade podcast, there's 5 seasons of Character Crusade podcast out there.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and that's
A
I
lot
think
of
that's a good point in that the Unbound podcast is not all the podcasts that we've put out.
No.
There's a whole slew under Character Crusade.
Yep.
And
yeah, that was
full under. There's another.
Yeah.
Where we did our radio stuff.
Oh yeah, we've done quite a few things. We've done a lot of experiments over the last 3.5 years.
Right.
Character Crusade, I feel like, was really where our best content was, and it was.
Oh, it's all new and fresh and
5 seasons of 12 episodes each. I mean, that was a huge investment of work. I think that the first year of our podcast was really focused on role play, figuring out how to improve role play, how to improve characters, how to create narrative. It was all that good stuff.
Yep.
The second year of our podcast was really focused on interviews. We did a lot of really fun interviews.
We did.
We did the whole green screen, the Skyrim tour.
Yeah.
Yep.
We had panel discussions.
Yep. All kinds of stuff. Yeah, we did 2 panel discussions that were both great. We've tried a lot of different things. And at this point, with the end of Unbound as a project, we're sort of feeling like
there's really no more to be gained
yeah.
from the Unbound series right now.
Right, and we kind of feel like we're beating a dead horse as well when it comes to Skyrim. That's not to say we won't, launch something else at some point. I think one of the things that still makes Skyrim pretty exciting to me is there's still sort of that vague promise out there of additional content. Right? I mean, there's new mods coming out all the time, but there's some big mods out there that, I think that what I would like to see for the future of a Skyrim podcast would be to have one of these big mods come out and then have all 3 of us play it and then do a podcast where we just get together every 2 weeks and we talk about our specific experiences playing in some of those new lands and stuff like that.
And you're talking things like any of the Beyond projects or the Sky Oblivion kind of stuff, that kind of thing.
Skywind, Skywind. Those kinds of things. Those kinds of big projects are out there looming. And I think that, the release of 1 or 2 of those, I could see rekindling the Skyrim podcast idea.
I mean, it's those particular mods are really, they're on par with the DLC. So there's so much new to explore. And,
right.
It's a group of different developers, so you got a different view and interpretation of various things. So that kind of stuff does make the game a lot more, new.
It
some
does.
respects.
It
gives
does.
it more life for a
right
7-8-year-old game.
For sure, yeah. It's kind of amazing.
It really is.
So I think that's where we're at right now. We're saying to ourselves, we're kind of tapped out on Skyrim. We don't feel like we have a lot to say that's new right now, necessarily.
I think too. If we're being honest, I think we all feel it might just be time to step back and take a bit of a break from this, and we can refocus on our own projects.
Yeah.
And keep driving those forward, and just kind of let the juices resettle.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I guess what I envision is that at least for the summer, possibly beyond that, but at least for the summer, that Matt and Joe and I will still continue to get together every 2 weeks, but I don't know that we'll stream anything. We might get together and go out and do something, or whatever. We'll just kind of enjoy ourselves, and if lightning strikes, if some idea comes to us and we think, wow, this is something that has legs, and maybe it's worthy of a podcast series or something like that, we'll be all over it.
Mm-hmm.
But right now we don't have any specific plans.
Right.
So we are kicking around ideas. There was some talk of possibly bringing back 3-play in some incarnation, or something like that, because we do enjoy this time with you guys, getting together and chatting. We like seeing the excitement in the community. We like to generate that excitement. But to be honest, I mean, for us, Skyrim as a podcast topic just isn't generating that excitement anymore, because we've been over it and over it so many times. So,
and if I guess you're newish, go back and listen to those Character Crusade podcasts. You can find them there. They're out on iTunes, and listen to them. Give them a hear.
Yeah, for sure. So that's it. Unbound is now over. It was a good run. It was over a year that we did this concept, and I think it was great. So we'll keep this in our back pocket, and if something magical comes out, someday maybe we restart the Unbounds as a series, as a concept,
or we started something new,
focus on a different game, or we do something completely new. So all right, so let's talk a little bit about the marathon.
So I think we're gonna keep pounding away at that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think after the first one, we were thinking, I don't know if we can do this again.
Uh-huh.
But then we did one last year, and it went really, I think, pretty well. So it's one of those things that when you finish it, you're kind of spent. You're done with it.
Yeah.
But you have a whole year to kind of recuperate and get some of that excitement back, and get back into the groove of why you were doing that. So we have been talking and tossing out ideas on the next marathon, the 24-hour charity stream that we've been doing for the Children's Miracle Network. And I think it's kind of back to basics from the sounds of it.
Yeah, I think so.
And I know between us two, and Matt's been kind of in and out, unfortunately, with work, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I think so too. Basically, what we're looking at doing is we've decided that switching a lot between games is just not, it's not what we want to do. And it's also kind of not what you guys are into necessarily. We have an audience in you guys and others that we want to keep entertained. One of the things that we're known for is quality role play, focus on that.
Yep.
And so we decided, let's make role play the focus for this year's marathon.
I mean, the switching games gets to be too jarring for people who want to be within the stream for any length of time.
And too jarring for the one who has to manage the tech.
Too technical. There's too many points of failure.
Yeah.
And we have unfortunately hit at least one or more major points of failure each year.
We totally have.
And we do have some plans to mitigate some of that, but and I'm specifically talking about the recording aspect.
Yeah, the recording has been a disaster both years. So, but that's because we've been too reliant on YouTube
to capture that.
Yeah. So, I think what we're going to do this year is you're going to get basically a 12-hour straight marathon of deep Skyrim roleplay. All three of us will be together. and we will be taking turns driving the character in 4-hour increments. So we'll each take a 4-hour increment of Skyrim. While one person is playing the game, we'll be involved in chat and commentary with everybody in the live stream. But the other two people who aren't playing will be not only providing color commentary and peanut gallery type comments, but those two people who aren't currently playing will also be interviewing. So we are going to try to set up a pretty robust series of interviews, so you will be able to actually listen to interviews with people that you're familiar with from this channel, from other channels, from mods, all that stuff overlaid on top of us playing kind of an epic 12-hour Skyrim roleplay. And then the plan is that what we were thinking of doing is changing it up so that at the 12-hour mark, we take a little break and then we fire up Fallout, and we do exactly the same thing with Fallout.
Right. So scale it back to 2 games, but focus heavily on each of them, and then sprinkle in some interesting conversations with a variety of creators.
Yeah, and I don't know who we're going to talk to yet.
Yeah, none of that's been thought out.
We haven't figured that part out.
Or approached anyone, so.
But we were hoping to try to set it up at a scale where we were doing at least a 30-minute interview with someone every couple hours.
Right.
If we could pull that off, that would mean we would need to line up 12 people to do interviews with. We already hit at least half that number or more with people that we've talked to in the past.
Right.
But we want to get some fresh faces in and talk to some new people who love role play and love Skyrim and love video games or love streaming or whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever. And that's the fun thing I'm excited about is with the variety of creators, whether it's YouTube, Twitch, or mod creators. We can get a lot of different angles, a lot of different unique perspectives about a variety of topics.
For sure.
And that's what's kind of exciting to me is getting all of those great minds in one area. So speaking of mitigating, I think right now the plan tentatively would be that we would record all of those interview segments locally.
Yeah.
That then we can upload them either individually or in bulk later on. But we won't rely on anything else other than our own tech and that we know.
Yep.
So we won't lose Shirley Curry if she's willing to give us another try.
That's been a big problem for us in the past, right?
And so it has been.
This will help to mitigate that. What that means, however, is that we're going to be recording the interviews and we'll be posting the interviews on the YouTube channel individually as 30 to 40 minute segments.
Right.
What it means is that you'll be able to get the interview content, but you will not be able to get probably the complete stream content. So if your intent is to watch us role play for 12 hours, you're going to have to be there live to see that from beginning to end. Otherwise, you're going to get chunks of it along the way.
If YouTube doesn't let us down, then maybe it'll be up there. I guess So these are all tentative.
Yeah. Or if I get some kind of wild hair and I decide that I'm going to just buy a brand new hard drive and I'm going to record the whole thing locally, that is a possibility also. But at this point, I think what I'm prepared to do is confirm that the interviews will be recorded and published.
Right, because that's really where the interesting content is going to be.
Yeah, I would agree.
Personally, but
yeah,
I mean, you can log on this guy's channel every Tuesday, damn near, and watch stream.
Right, damn near.
But
yeah,
that's kind of the tentative plan for the charity marathon. When that's going to happen, I'm not sure. Nothing's been. We're just started to discuss it. So.
Yeah, we've just started the planning. I mean, traditionally, what happens with this whole thing, because of the way that we do it, it's usually first weekend in November because of Extra Life. That's when they kind of promote their big weekend for marathons.
Right.
But, we don't have to do that. I mean, we could literally do our marathon whenever we want, as soon as we feel ready or when we feel comfortable. Honestly, living in Minnesota, it might be sort of nice to do it a little bit earlier before there's any chance at all of it being freezing or, all of that kind of stuff.
Horrible weather.
Honestly, I mean, I would be happy to do it in late September or early October even,
Right.
But, we can do it however we want to.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's nothing being dictated by Extra Life.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, if you went to Extra Life, was it Extra Life or is it Extra Life 24?
Oh, I think is extralife.charactercrusade.com.
So the point being, if you went to our URL for Extra Life right now, you could still donate.
Yeah, you can donate anytime. But
the charities are not bound to any specific time frame.
Yeah.
They're just, in this case, Extra Life tries to pool all those resources.
Yeah.
To get the biggest bang for its marketing buck, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. So that's kind of what we've got in mind right now. Basically, it would be 24 hours of just heads down, in-depth, focused role-play fun. Split between Skyrim and Fallout 4, most likely.
4?
Probably. I think Fallout 4.
Okay.
Yep. And then... we'll pepper that with interviews. We'll pepper it with, promos. We'll try to engage in some activities during that time. We'll get the audience involved as well.
Yep.
We've got some ideas about that. So keep an eye on Discord, and any future streams we have about, more information about that. If you've got, any ideas or people that you think we should try to interview, you can go ahead and submit those also. We'll be forming our own list, of course, but we're going to try to line up at least 12 people to talk to. That's a pretty good-sized crowd.
That is.
So if you've got any input on that, let us know.
Can I just go on a limb here and maybe cut one of these folks off?
Yeah, please do.
We're not going to be able to get Gopher.
We've tried.
So don't... I guess you can submit if you want, but... realistically, that's probably just not going to happen. Be great, it'd be cool, it'd be fun, but we're just little peons out here in the Midwest.
Well, and that probably means also that we won't get anyone like Todd Howard. So, we're talking about.
Maybe. Never say never.
Yeah,
or Pete.
Reach for the stars, but seriously. Anyway. Yeah. So hopefully we're all square. Do you guys have any questions at all for us about what you need to do for the finale? Or any questions at all about anything that we've talked about tonight?
Yeah, go ahead, throw them up.
Throw them out if you've got them. Otherwise, we're good to go, I think.
I guess if you're stuck on a particular situation, you throw that in there if you want. But
yeah.
So I guess the greater point being that the next podcast, episode 6, will be the last Unbound podcast in the foreseeable future, but that does not mean we're going away.
Correct.
So,
correct.
Just wanted to make that clear.
All right. Before we go, got any channel updates, Joe? You want to throw out?
Channel updates. Let's see. Still am picking away at Pelinar Adonan, my ex-fallen Thalmor Knight vampire.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. If I can get into the groove and get some good time to record, this could be a really long series.
Yeah.
If I do what I want to do with it, this could be a very long series.
Good God.
Let's see what else. So that is, I guess I only get, I just got the one thing at a time, kind of, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I've got that going. I may or may not screw around with Twitch streaming if again the time allows, and it's not necessarily the time, it's more the timing. In order for me to game and do audio work without being interrupted or disruptive to others in my household, my time frames are sporadic at best, which is why I don't also deliver content on a consistent basis, but it's part of it.
That's what it is.
So, but I might.
Yeah.
So keep your eye out every now and again. I might. I tried it just not too long ago, and yeah, it worked sorta and sorta not. But that's just me trying to get a handle on OBS and Twitch and how it all works, and whether or not I've got bandwidth that would actually make for a watchable stream. I don't know. So I don't have quite as good of a pipeline as Stu has at his current place here. So. But we are moving forward.
Right.
With.
That's good.
Yeah.
It would be awesome if you could do a stream now and again.
Yeah, I think it could be fun, but
right.
see how it works.
Yeah, okay.
If I do stream, it's going to be just one-offs from my throwaway characters. My series that I put up on YouTube, I still like doing a lot of post-production type of work, adding sounds in, effects and stuff like that. And I just can't do that on the fly if I stream. So if I stream anything, it's going to be just me screwing around.
Nothing wrong with that.
So
a casual Skyrim roleplay is quite entertaining, I think.
Can
you know
be.
What I mean?
Although the one thing I did find, even on that just brief little trial, was it's not quite as easy to talk and play, to keep engaged.
Oh, that takes a practice.
Yeah. So
practice.
I mean, you go out, you watch all these streamers, whether it's Twitch or YouTube or wherever, and they're constantly moving, they're constantly talking, they got stuff to say, and they're engaged with their audience, and some of them are super engaged with the chat, some of them not so much, but that's not easy. You're right, it does take some practice, so
it does.
I can only imagine my first few, once I get that going, and if I get it going, will be interesting.
Oh yeah,
to say the least. So.
Oh, it's fun. It's fun. I do everything live now. Yeah. I like that. I like the challenge of it. I like the format of it.
Yeah.
I like all that now.
Right. I think one of my challenges is I simply do not have multiple screens to work with. So I can't have something off to the side.
Right.
For chat, for example.
Right.
So, at least at first, until something manifests itself, chat is probably not going to be.
Or you could do like I do and just ignore chat completely.
Well, that's an option.
Well, that's not true. I mean, when I'm playing Shadeling, I kind of ignore chat. Oddly, it's kind of odd, right? Because, well, here's the thing, right? Like with that character, I don't necessarily want to. I worry about ruining the atmosphere that just his presence creates.
He's a different animal.
And I feel like although my next live stream, it's probably going to be Shadeling and we're going to do some chatter.
All right.
I'm going to talk commentary,
Right.
But anyway, so, yeah, for me, channel update is the new machine is up and running. Windows is installed, the games are installed, the characters are moved over, the save games are moved over, the mods are moved over. I've done a test run of Shadling, and he's working very well on the new gear. I posted some screenshots to Discord over the weekend. Since then, I've also been able to get the streaming machine up and running, OBS running, and my capture card working with it. I'm getting closer to doing streams in just little dribs and drabs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tackling one problem at a time, and there was a whole host of problems, but I've worked through each of them in turn, and so I'm at a point now where I am ready to live stream.
Awesome. Yeah, and
So
I will vouch it looks spectacular.
yeah, I gave Joe a little preview today
That
of
looks really good.
kind of what's going on there, and it really does look good. And the funny thing is, the thing that I'm more excited about is the idea of the new streaming machine.
Right.
Streaming from a different machine is going to give me the power to use OBS,
Right.
which is going to bring all kinds of horsepower to my live productions.
Oh, you'll have some nice transitions and
Yeah.
just
I'll have
control.
transitions, and I'll have basically a limitless number of templates I can build for each series.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas instead of being restricted to just
Right.
7 or 8,
Right.
I can build as many as I need to build to accommodate the story I'm trying to tell, which gives me just tons of flexibility I didn't have before.
Right.
So I'm excited about that, and I anticipate being able to live stream this week. I'm hoping to do a live stream tomorrow night as per usual. I'm hoping that will be the case. So far, everything is working well. The only thing that I have yet to do is I have to recreate all of my live stream templates in OBS.
Okay.
And I haven't done that yet. That's still outstanding work. So I've got to get that done. If I can't get that done in time for tomorrow, then I will either live stream on Thursday or Friday, one or the other. I don't know which yet. So that's my hope. Wednesday is out. I can't do Wednesdays, but I could either do maybe Thursday or Friday. So
Cool.
it just depends on how that setup goes.
Awesome.
So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at right now. We got some
deal.
questions, a lot of
Yeah.
questions.
All right. I think we start up here.
All right.
This is a good one for both of us.
Yeah. Question comes from Vincent Keith. Can you talk about planning a long-term playthrough? How do you come up with your goals?
That, I guess I usually personally, I start out with kind of the idea. Okay, so the idea with Pelinar was this
Do you need another brew while you're talking? Can
this
we do that?
vampire. Sure.
All right.
So the idea was this fallen knight turned vampire. So there's the idea. So what lends itself to that concept? Naturally, Dawnguard content, the vampires, or Dawnguard. So then it's a matter of, okay, with that DLC, I've got 2 primary quest lines. I can side with the vampires, I can side against the vampires. So now it's choosing which of those paths do I want to take? And then, in addition to that, what other quests might be complementary to whatever choice I make? So, it really, for me, it starts out with the general character concept and what does that idea lend itself to.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I say that this particular series could be long is just because of the ideas that I want to try to do. And I'm not going to go into detail on that, but it could lend for a fairly lengthy stay. I don't know if that really answers the question very well, but again, it's about what in the game would work with your
Right.
idea. And I guess conversely, what in the game could be a surprise with that idea. So that is, what seems like it would never work, but then you make it work. You know, that kind of, it's kind of an opposite. It's that contrast.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten that far, so I usually, when I'm thinking about the character concept, I'm also thinking about a lot of peripheries. That is, his background and what lends to different story elements. So then how do I address those? In a video.
Slushy.
Oh, is it?
A little slushy on the top there.
Oops. Is it still in the freezer?
No, it's in the fridge.
Oh.
That's a good point.
So when you've got these kind of peripheral ideas that seem to lend themselves to build up the character, either their background or something to look forward to, what in the game can you use? Are there mods that you can look for? A lot of times there are. But there's almost always a base, a root in the game that you can play off of and then just embellish with mods.
Embellish the shit out of it.
That's right.
Yeah. I start with a character concept. Usually, I start with an idea in my head of what I think would be an interesting character, and then the story evolves around the character. Right?
Right.
So, that's, for me, it's kind of an organic process. So, when I think about characters like Vander, I just thought, okay, let's try this idea, of a character who does, he acts completely counter to his race, what his race would normally do.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, and that's a good example of contrasting.
That is the concept, right? And so I start with that concept and then I start building around it and saying, okay, what would be interesting about this character? What would his story be? How did he end up here? What kinds of things would he like to do?
Right.
And then it starts to expand outward, and then I start to come up with goals. Now, one of the things is, when I set goals for a character, though, my goals are pretty vague. And usually, I've got some ideas in my head for what the end of the story might be, but a lot of the stuff in between is evolving. One of the things that, if you're thinking about doing your own story, I would caution you against getting yourself too dialed into specific goals to the point where, because the game will foil you all the time. It'll present obstacles, right? And if you find yourself struggling to get to a particular goal you think you need to get to, then you need to reanalyze that goal and decide whether or not it's worth it. And you need to kind of follow the character where it flows through the game. So I would say keep the goals loose, keep them high level. And what I focus on is really making sure that I understand the character thoroughly, that I absolutely understand the character thoroughly, and then I allow the character to just live in the environment, respond to the environment, but I have a one or two long-range goals. And the long-range goals are good because if you're telling a story like we use it to tell a story, then you've got an ending in mind, right? Yep. I've made the mistake many times of starting a character concept with no ending in mind, and then there's no ending. Right?
Yeah, you don't know where to go.
You don't know where the hell to end the story.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and that's those are things I've done too, and I've got a couple endpoints in mind now. Now you don't have to have them solidified. You might have a couple options of ways you want to end, but have something.
Yeah.
If you're going to tell a story.
Yeah.
And then you'd be amazed with, if you know the character well, as you pointed out,
Yeah.
that you will be able to easily or more easily make in-game decisions from that character's perspective,
Right.
which is going to lead you down all sorts of places you never would have thought. Like I said, you would be amazed at the number of ideas that suddenly will explode from a solid character concept, and you won't know how you're going to finish it all.
Mm-hmm.
So then you start
Yeah.
winnowing things away.
Yep. Yep. That's
So
a good point.
It's actually a lot easier than it might seem to create something that's a long-standing type of series. But just to reiterate what you were saying, Stu, is get a good feel for the character and set some long range and maybe even some mid range goals, even if they're not set in stone.
Yeah.
Give yourself something to look towards.
Yeah.
And once you get towards that, maybe it changes, but you're heading there anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think we had an episode of the podcast in season 1 where we talked a little bit about that idea of narrative, having a goal in mind for the end, but letting the game breathe in between. And
Right.
So yeah, have some goals, but don't try to stick with them.
Don't force
if
it.
you have to. Yeah.
Right.
So the next question also comes from Vincent Keith. What capture card are you using? I want to capture 1440p on my second machine. Capture card I'm using is an external capture card made by Elgato. It's very small. It is called, this is an HD60. This is fairly old. I've been capturing video for my channel with this external capture card for a while now. Year and a half, 2 years, something like that. What I like about this is because it's external, all the processing is happening on this little device. It's going to take the load off your PC so that your PC is not trying to, say, run your game and also do this. So this is really just a pass-through. So the signal comes in here. It is captured here and comes out through USB into my streaming machine, which is either streaming or recording or both. Okay? So basically I've got a gaming machine and a streaming machine, and this sits right in between. And it processes that video. Now, this card would not do your 1440. This card is 1080. Everything I'm doing is 1080, and the reason I'm doing that is because of this card, right? Because this card does what I need it to. It's super reliable. It has not failed me in 2 years. So yeah, I highly recommend Elgato, and depending on the machines you're running, I'd also recommend doing the external capture. Now I had to do external capture because everything I've done on my channel up to this point I've done on laptops. Everything has been done on laptops.
Right.
The stream that I'm going to do later this week will be the first time ever in the history of Couch Warrior TV that we will see footage coming off of a desktop computer system. So just a little perspective there.
Right.
But so yeah, one of these guys, Elgato.
Yep. And I am also using an Elgato, a little bit more current. I think it's an Elgato HD60S or something like that. I don't know if it can go all the way up to 1440. I think I'm capturing at 1080 60, 1080 by 1920 or something like that. But it would be worth maybe checking out their site to see if they have something that will work with your graphics card. Mine also is an external. Now, my configuration is slightly different in that I don't go back out to a streaming machine because I don't stream. Instead, I've got it hooked up to my card that basically reads it as a second monitor. So it goes right into that, which is how I can get that high def capture, even though the actual monitor I'm using can't capture the resolution that my graphics card can put out.
That's amazing.
So I'm
that's
actually
kind of amazing.
playing in a different resolution than what my game capture that I put up on YouTube is.
That's pretty cool.
Just because of the way that the card works. So,
Yeah.
as far as what can capture at a 1440p, I'm not sure. But I would be kind of surprised if Elgato can have something that could do that.
Elgato's got stuff now that'll capture 4K,
so
you won't have any problems there. I had considered for an instant the idea of getting an internal capture card, but I thought, you know what? Why am I going to put extra load on a system I just built to help play the game at max resolution? I decided not to do that.
Right.
So, but yeah, there's a lot of Elgato products out there. You should note, I don't know if your streaming machine is a PC or a Mac. Elgato has its own proprietary software for streaming on a Mac. So if your streaming machine is a Mac, you're going to have to use their proprietary software. It will not work. OBS will not work with an Elgato card on a Mac. There is no OBS driver
for Mac.
For Mac, okay? That's part of the reason why I switched, because I wanted the flexibility of OBS and could not get Elgato to work with OBS on a Mac. So I had to switch to a Windows streaming system. So just be aware of that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was going to mention that.
Yeah.
I didn't know the specifics, but I knew there was some caveat to that.
Yeah.
So
we'll look at that. All right, next. Wolfisa has a question in two parts, but it's basically one question, asking if we would consider doing interview segments with people in the community during the marathon. And we haven't talked about that, but I wouldn't be opposed to it if...
No, it's on the table.
Yeah,
But there are some logistical
yeah
difficulties potentially.
There's some things that we got to work through to make that a possibility, but
and then how we would decide, whom. I mean,
that's the hardest part.
There's going to be a number of people that they don't want to do that.
Yeah, and that's fine.
But then there's also going to be a number of people that would be excited to do that.
Yeah.
And how we would fairly decide who and not who.
That's
in conjunction with
the problem.
The other interviews that we want to try to get in.
Yeah.
So there's some challenges there, but it's nothing that's insurmountable.
No,
we just would need to figure out some potential ways to deal with that. Mm-hmm. Whether it's Patreon levels or whatever.
Yeah.
I personally hate Patreon levels. That's just me.
I would rather not go that route either. But we need a fair way to make a decision about, who's going to be on,
right,
and who's not going to be on.
Purely random if we get too many.
Right. I mean, that doesn't seem like much fun either.
No.
So, I mean, one thought would be to have a 1 or 2 hour segment during the marathon where we patch into something like Google Hangouts and invite the community to jump in, and it's just a free form conversation / discussion amongst community members for a certain period of time. That it's not an interview format, but it's a time for voice chat. And
that's an option.
It's maybe a 1 or 2 hour community segment with voice chat or something.
It would be more fair.
Yeah, and it would get us away from having to do scheduled interview times. We could just kind of open it up and people could jump
try
in.
To pick a time frame that is okay for kind of everybody.
Right,
that's the other hard part about that is
the times.
U.S. versus U.K. versus down under and wherever everyone is. So what I kind of envision is that we would set up a schedule of our desired creator-based interviews, and then kind of see where a community-based discussion might fit in.
Yeah. That wouldn't be a bad idea, really.
Because if we can get Rycott, for example, well, he's down in Australia, if I remember right.
New Zealand, yeah.
New Zealand.
he's,
So there are specific time points that he's available.
yeah, that might be a good idea. We could get our interviews scheduled, and then based on how the interviews are shaking out, we could come up with a time window and open that up to the community and just have a big, either a giant Google Hangout or a Discord voice chat that gets pumped into the live stream.
Sure.
So that might be a solution. We'll kick around some ideas here, but we definitely want to have the community more directly involved. And one of the things that has stopped us from doing that over the years is just this question of fairness. We could never really negotiate the fairness issue, right?
Right.
We have so many people in the community who might want to contribute and who are equally active and equally excited.
Yeah.
And finding a way to do that in such a way that it's actually fair and that we can sustain is always difficult.
Right.
So, but let's put it on the table and we'll see what we come up with.
Yeah, it's definitely not anything that we're gonna kibosh just knee jerk. So
no, I think it's worth figuring out. I mean, we had already discussed different ways that we could get the community involved in this, and frankly, it would be nice to have the community get involved in the marathon in a way that's something other than just chat. You know, the text chat. Right. Which, I mean, that's what we always do, and I would love to see you guys more directly involved. So.
Yeah.
All right. Another question from Vincent. Question. Best source for modding questions. I'm thinking about actually writing a Sacred Metals mod. I'm thinking perks for doing damage over time, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I would first of all go to DarkFox127 and check out all of his tutorials. If your questions are not answered by his tutorials, then you could get involved in his community.
Check out his Discord. There are a load of modders in that Discord community.
Yeah.
And they are all extremely helpful.
The more involved you get in that community, the more helpful they'll be, by the way. So,
I mean, that's just kind of how communities work, you know.
Yeah.
So once you kind of get, you know, it's if you're polite and kind and all that good stuff, folks are going to help you, if not directly, indirectly.
Yeah. Don't be a dick like me and Joe.
Yeah.
Go in there and be nice.
God, I can't remember how long I've been banned now.
Been a while. Yeah.
No, Dark Fox, the Discord for his community is very mod-centric.
Yeah.
That'd be a great place.
You know, the other thing that I would encourage you to consider doing, which I've come to really enjoy now, I've got, not every Saturday, but a lot of Saturday mornings, I've got this tradition where I get up and I watch Dark Fox's modding live stream on Saturday morning. Just like it feels like I'm watching cartoons. I drink my coffee and I eat my breakfast and I watch him do a mod live stream. And what's so fun about that is the chatting that goes on. He will chat directly with me sometimes, and then I'll see Joe pop in there, you know, and stuff like that. It's kind of like watching Saturday morning cartoons, but having a chat with your friends at the same time.
Yeah. He usually keeps his schedule fairly up to date. I know with his work and with the holidays recently, it's been a little jumbled, but I think it has been for a lot of people. But almost every Saturday, you can count on him in the mornings, at least the mornings for us in the U.S.
Yeah.
I think it's usually around 2 p.m. UK time, so it's about 8 a.m. our time.
Yeah.
But yeah, he'll fire something up for a couple hours, and if it's going really well, he'll stay on 3-4 hours even.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just fun to kind of watch him because he does a lot of scripting, a lot of level. Depends what he's working on. Right now, I think he's working on redoing Mershcombe Estate which is a mod that he and Eleonora had collaborated on, and he's redoing it for SE, and basically from the ground up. So if you know anything about the original mod, that's a tremendous amount of work. But he's very good at building and scripting, and I mean, he has his limits, but ask and he'll tell you. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's another good place.
Yes.
And that is Dark Fox 127 on YouTube.
Yep.
And it is darkfox127.co.uk for his website.
Yep. And his tutorials are by far the best mod tutorials you're going to find on YouTube. So go out there and soak that stuff up for sure.
Yep.
But you'll learn a lot just from watching his live streams.
Yep.
So
yeah, he is one of the best mod tutorials if you need like how to use tools and installs.
Yeah.
Gamer Poets is probably hands down the best.
Yeah, on the two. Yeah, like the
they both have their
mod
specialties.
install tutorials and stuff like
using
that.
the different tools like Bethany and that kind of thing.
That's right. All right.
So,
Random Legend 00 asked a question. Do you guys have any tips for storytelling and or character creation? I struggle heavily from writer's block about 90% of the time. Was curious if you guys have any tricks that you use. I will just, from my perspective, I have the opposite problem. My problem is I have too many ideas. And usually what ends up happening is I stop one idea because I've got the next great idea on deck and I can't wait to roll it out. So I don't typically suffer from writer's block. What I suffer from is boredom. I get bored with a concept and I move on to the next concept. That's why Couch Warrior TV has so many stories that are unfinished. However, I would like to also mention that I discovered that the solution to that dilemma for me was finding a format that worked for me. And after years and years of trying lots of different things, what I have discovered is that live streaming is the right format for me. Doing a live show is the right format for me. It's what's allowed me to move forward with some really focused, purposeful narrative over the last 6 or 8 months. And I'm not looking back. It's not to say that I'm never going to do any produced videos again, but I love the challenge, like I said earlier, of doing live shows. I think it's, for me, really fun and rewarding, and it allows me to move the story ahead fast, which satisfies my need to create and to be stimulated and to continue. And with the Barbarian series, we're not that far from the end of Barbarian. Cool. And with the end of Barbarian, that'll be the culmination or the tying up of a whole bunch of different stories all at once. It would tie up Idastog's story. It would tie up Vander's story. It would tie up Twist's story. It would tie up Shadling's story. It would tie up Marl's story, all in one fell swoop. And I would instantly go from being the guy who didn't finish stories to the guy who finished almost all of them. So, to me, the big difference for me has been fishing around to try to figure out what's the right storytelling format for me. And you would think, after 6 years of live streaming or 6 years of YouTube videos, that I would have got it before now. But it's taken me 6 years seriously to figure out how I was going to do it.
Yeah. See, and I'm a little more methodical. I like doing the producing. So I don't know if live streaming will ever be a thing other than just something to mess with. But insofar as writer's block, I think you are in good company with just about any writer out there, professional and amateur alike. Mm-hmm. I think some of the things For me, music actually spurns a lot of ideas for me, whether it's just ambient or general radio music.
That's awesome.
Music can really spark a lot of feelings. I mean, that's the beauty of music. Yeah, I've said this before, but think about any movie that you ever watch, strip out the music, and tell me how impactful it is. It just wouldn't be.
It wouldn't be.
Music really spurns emotion. As far as, I think it comes down to as well, back to creating solid character concepts. Once you get a good feel of a main character, so many things will fall into place. Mm-hmm. The other piece, and this is something that I've gotten from the NaNoWriMo that I haven't done for a couple of years now, but just right. I mean, it sounds really stupid, but don't think about it. Just put words down on the page. Don't look back on them. Don't try to make the perfect sentence, the perfect paragraph, or the perfect page. Just put down words.
But Joe, perfection is so great.
Perfection is great and completely unattainable.
Oh.
That's what revisions are for. You know, so it's really just a stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
Throw down anything that comes into your head. Doesn't need to make a ton of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then, at least for me in the past, I've found has happened is it just kind of snowballs, and pretty soon things are just coming to you. Mm-hmm. And you type them down, and then you get to a point where you kind of stop. Then you can go back, reread what you've done, make changes. Don't worry about spelling. Computers are really good at that, so let them handle it.
Yeah.
Not always. It does fail in grammar, but just don't get caught up in trying to make the first draft the final draft.
Yep.
And projects like NaNoWriMo are really good for doing that. Get involved with a cabin. So there's a couple different flavors of NaNoWriMo.
Explain to people what NaNoWriMo is.
All right. NaNoWriMo, if you're not familiar, stands for National... Let's see here. NaNoWriMo. National...
Help us out, Strudel.
No, I'm getting screwed up on
November?
National Novel November Writer something blah or another. Anyway, the idea is to create a novel. National Novel Writing Month. Thank you, Strudel. Is to write a novel in 30 days in the month of November. And that's like 60,000 words. Now, throughout the year, they have little mini sessions of that where you basically pick your goal. So, in the month of April, I want to write 10,000 words.
Yeah.
That's your goal. And if you do it, you win. You won. Good job.
Yep.
That's how House of Troubles was written. House of Troubles was my NaNoWriMo, my camp NaNoWriMo. So the little ones in between are called camps. So Camp NaNoWriMo, that was my story for Camp NaNoWriMo.
Yep.
And it gave me a feel for, and maybe the confidence to be able to try to tackle something else, which then I came up with Rift in Time, or Rift into Oblivion. Rift into Oblivion. It also helped me do our story season.
Yep.
So it's a good introduction without feeling the pressure.
Right.
So if you're really up into and want to try to write, check that out. And ping just about anyone in Discord. And I know Strudel and several others will jump in and help direct you to the Camp NaNoWriMo or the NaNoWriMo website if you're interested.
Yep. All right, cool. Good advice. I make a significant effort to not write anything. I've been working towards not writing anything. I used to do a lot of writing, but I'm working the opposite direction now. So, Wolf Isa writes, obviously we're all fans of you guys, but what I want to know is, are there any creators, content creators, that you guys are fans of?
You know, this is actually a hard question for me because I feel guilty that I don't watch more people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't watch more streams. I don't watch more creators because I'm using that time to do my own.
Correct.
And when I'm done doing my own, I just want to turn the computer off.
Uh-huh.
That being said, there are a few creators that I like to watch when I can. Dark Fox is one. And how is that story related? Well, I can tell you that Dark Fox is one of the few mod creators that actually does think heavily about background to his mod.
Right.
He wants things to make sense. He puts a storyline in, even if it's just a mini one. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's just watching people for fun. The Lexi Kitty is one I like to watch just because she's fun. She's not really a role player,
right?
But she's a fun personality.
Mm-hmm.
Who else have I watched? The Boogie Knight is another one I've watched because he's kind of fun. He plays games that I would never probably play. Like, he's more into the horror type of games,
mm-hmm.
Especially the older school ones.
Right.
But I like to watch his stuff. Again, not strictly a role player. Honestly, I personally prefer watching not the role players. Maybe it's because I don't want to be influenced. Maybe it's because I don't have time to feel like I can invest into that storyline.
Yep.
I don't know. There's probably a multitude of reasons, but...
Yep. For me, there's content creators that I enjoy watching, and then there's content creators that I don't watch but have a huge amount of respect for.
Yes.
Okay?
My caveat, if I'll cut in here, is I do catch Shirley's stuff every now and again.
Okay. Gotcha. So for me, I like watching Dark Fox. I like watching his live streams. And I have probably watched almost all of his tutorial videos at least once, because I've made enough mods on my own that they've helped me out.
Mm-hmm.
So Dark Fox 127 for sure. The other one that I like to watch, and when it comes to gaming content, is my very favorite, probably just to chill out and watch and relax, is Artist Caleb.
Oh, God, yeah.
Artist Caleb
Yeah,
is...
he's another one I like watching.
He's my favorite when it comes to game content, probably. I watch a fair amount of this guy's content, which I like. I like your narrative content. So what I like about Artist Caleb is he plays lots of different games,
mm-hmm.
and he's got a really quirky style.
He does. He's really fun.
I don't watch him for narrative content. I watch your stuff for narrative content, and because I like to, because Joe and I are getting together every couple of weeks, I like to try to keep up with what your story and what you're doing. So when we're talking about things, I know what we're talking about, and,
right.
among other things.
Yeah.
But it's just really good storytelling. And then when it comes to other role players, I've got a lot of respect for Michael, for Gamer Poets.
Yes.
I've watched some of his stuff,
mm-hmm.
and I've got a huge amount of respect for Raikon.
Yeah.
I love his work, but Raikon and he and I have actually had a discussion about this, where, I said, listen, dude, I watch your town hall episodes when you're given updates on your channel, but I don't watch your content anymore because I don't want to be influenced by it. And he's like, dude, I totally get it. I don't watch yours for the same reason. And so
Right.
we've agreed, kind of agreed not to watch each other's videos because we want our stories to be original and we don't want to be influenced by anybody else's material.
Yep.
So I love Rycon, and I do watch his Let's Plays and his stories outside of Skyrim. I won't watch his Skyrim and I won't watch his Fallout, but I will watch his other stuff.
Right.
He's done so many good ones, and I've watched a few of them. So
Yep.
I love those guys very much. So, and let's not forget Jessa as well.
Oh God, no.
I like watching Jessa's Skyrim content, although she hasn't done any Skyrim in a while. She's focusing on other things.
She has been doing and really jamming on the ESO.
Yeah, I noticed
lately.
that. She's really into
And
that now.
She's loving it to pieces. So it's not Skyrim per se, but it's of the same ilk, and she's playing it just like she would be the Skyrim. So she's a really good one if you want to pick up some good tips on how to role play.
Right.
She is a good role player.
So they're all fantastic.
Yeah, it's a sad thing. We could probably sit here and go, oh yeah, and then there's, and then there's, and then there's.
Yeah.
We're gonna miss somebody.
Oh yeah, there's always
the fact that I forgot about Jess and the artist Caleb are really sad.
Yeah, if you just want to, what I like about artist Caleb is he plays lots of different games.
He's got a ton of
so many different games. And his style, he's just funny and he's relaxing
hilarious
to listen to.
Yeah, he's got a great voice just to listen to.
And he's a guy who does game development on his own.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's got a lot of interesting things to say about the games he's playing.
Yes, he will definitely stop
cool.
and smell the roses, so to speak, and kind of go off from time to time about, the specularity of this and,
complexity of that.
Yeah, and praising the developers and
He lays it on thick sometimes. That's what I like about him, though. And incidentally, we've interviewed him on the channel
a
couple times. He has participated in both of our marathons.
Yep.
He's a fantastic supporter of the channel and our charities.
Yep.
So we love Caleb.
Yeah. If you want to go out, check his stuff out because he's got plenty of it.
Yeah. Vincent Keith is asking the question spelling of those. I don't know.
For what?
Artist Caleb.
THOSE. Those.
Yeah. Rycon.
RYCON.
RYCON. Jessa is the JESSA channel. All one word. Who else did we mention?
Strudel.
Yeah, this is Strudel territory.
If we had a decent means to type, we could probably put in there.
Yeah.
But
hey, here's
you
an
can
idea
also
for you.
look at our channels and who we're following.
If you look at our channels, you're going to see who we recommend. It's going to be in a strip right down the right-hand side. You'll find Artist Caleb there. You'll find Jessa there. You'll find Rycon there. You'll find Gamer Poets there. They're all there. So just go click those links.
Yeah.
Click.
Between the two of us, everyone we've mentioned are there.
Yep.
What do you mean you don't know those names?
Incidentally, almost all of those creators, I think all of those creators have their own Discord communities as well.
Yes.
So, if you want to get involved in their channels, by all means, do that. Okay? So, yeah. Watch EJ.
EJ
is another fantastic storyteller.
Yep.
So, okay. Plenty of stuff out there to watch. All right. I got nothing else, guys. I'm hoping to see you all later this week in a live stream. I haven't live streamed in like 3 weeks now. It is time to get the story kicked back into gear, but I want to really do it in style. So thank you for your patience, and I appreciate that. And hopefully I will see... Oh, yes, Bonhart. Bonhart is another one. If you want to see a guy who knows his way around creating mods and story, Bonhart, check him out. Yeah. I was trying to think of him earlier and I couldn't come up with it.
It's always going to miss someone.
Yeah.
Not intentional, but
yeah,
there's so many quality.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to revise it. There's a lot of quality, but from an RP perspective, it's a small group.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
From a strictly role play
Yeah.
perspective, there's not a lot of us out there. There's a lot of great gamers. There's a lot of great personalities, which I enjoy watching.
Yeah.
But the really solid role players, which include Bonhart, Rycom, Couch,
Yes!
Jessa,
I love it when Joe gives me props.
Shirley. I mean,
He restricts himself, though. He only gives me props once a year. One time a year he does it.
it's because it just goes right to his head. So, got to be careful with those compliments.
That's I gotta be stingy. Gotta be stingy with the compliments. John, thank you so much. I'm glad you like my work. I appreciate your watching. Thank you very much. Okay. I think we're good.
I think so.
This is a good episode. Great conversation, guys. Good questions.
Yeah.
Really do appreciate it.
And if you have any questions about what we're looking for to submit, throw them in the Discord.
Yeah. We'll try to get something out there on Discord in the next day or two, kind of outlining very specifically what we're looking for. At a high level, what it is right now is we want some narrative about your character. We want to understand who your character is, why you created them, a little bit about their story, within reason. Remember, we've got a lot of submissions we're going to read in the finale, so keep it brief. And then also let us know how you incorporated the game mechanic into your role play, what was good about it, what was difficult, how you approached it, what mods you used, any details like that might be interesting. Everything that you submit to us makes the podcast better, so we need your input. So give us that, okay?
Yep.
All right. Vincent Keith has one last question. I've been binging on Twist, best order on the rest. I tell you what, there is a document, Strudel, I don't know if you have access to it. It is out there on Discord. It is a viewer's guide. It is a viewer's guide. It is an infographic that shows you exactly what you should watch and in what order. And I believe it's pinned on the Couch Warrior text channel on Discord. Okay, it's out there, but it's called the Lorcon Viewer's Guide. I think Viewer's Guide to the Lorcon Saga. And it shows you exactly the characters that are part of the story and in the right order to watch them in. Okay? So, go to Discord, go to the Couch Warrior TV channel, and then look at the pinned entries there, and you will find it.
Yep, it's just a couple down from the top. Permanent link to the Lorcon Saga Viewer's Guide.
Yep. And it's a big infographic. Okay? There we go.
You got it.
Is that it? Okay.
I'm assuming that's it.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so check that out, and that'll tell you everything that you need to watch, and then cruise through it in order. It'll all make perfect sense, I swear to God. Okay, we'll see you guys later. Have a great night. It was a lot of fun, and we will see you in 2 weeks for the finally.
For the finally.
And hopefully Matt will be here. We don't know for sure.
Yeah, his schedule's been super crazy lately, so.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll take you out with some music, all right?
Have a good one.
Good night.
And by the way, Sterl, yes, I'm wearing shorts, but it's only about 54 degrees here, so I didn't plan tonight very well.